Looks like Matt Patricia is still the head coach of the Detroit Lions.
Did you realize that you are a champion in their eyes?
Subscribe to the members of ISN.
Hey there, football fans. My name is Derek, and welcome to the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe and like if you are so inclined to do so. That would be awesome. I am on a quest to 16,000 by the end of the football season, and you can help me get there, but only if you want to. Lions fans, it is approaching 4 o'clock on November the 27th, 2020. And I woke up to one Black Friday and expected it to be another. The firing of Matt Patricia. It's already approaching 4, and Matt Patricia is still the head coach of the Detroit Lions. In my honest opinion, if he does not get fired in the next 10, 20 minutes and makes it to the weekend, past the weekend, he will be retained as Detroit Lions head coach. Lions fans, just a little bit of a heads up. Don't be surprised if the Fords retain Coach Matt Patricia for one more year. That's what I'm starting to believe. But in this video, I'm going to take you inside of my mind by going inside the mind and listening to the words of Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman. These two gentlemen are not Detroit Lions fans, but they are analysts, and they've seen this team for years upon years, and in some cases decades, and they understand about what is wrong with this franchise, as all real Detroit Lions fans do. When I stress the word real, I'm talking about when you're real with yourself, when you look inside yourself and you figure out and you come to the realization of the true enemy of this team. This team has been bad for years upon years, and we're going to listen to this first take. Now, this is courtesy of ESPN's YouTube channel and their show, First Take. So obviously, I don't own any of the content. So we are going to take a listen and a look and hear what Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman have to say about the Detroit Lions.
When Jim Caldwell led Detroit to the NFL's 12th best record in 2 playoff appearances before Patricia took his place. We know he's from that Belichick coaching tree. Max, let me ask you this. Do you think the Lions need to apologize for hiring Matt Patricia at this point?
Well, sure, but the real thing they need to do is apologize to Jim Caldwell, because he was doing what they needed him to do. He was winning 9 games a season on average in 4 seasons. By the way, an African-American head coach who was fired because 9 wins wasn't enough, because 2 playoff appearances in 4 years for a team that hasn't won they've won 1 playoff game in 60 years. It is the least talked about record of futility in sports.
Well, Max, I got to disagree with you there. It might be the least in the national media or even on television. But us Lions fans, us real Detroit Lions fans, that's true to ourselves, we talk about it all the time. One of the major things that's talked about in this franchise, the fact that they have not won a playoff game, but won in the last 60 years. We know that they've only been 12 times in the Super Bowl era, and that the Detroit Lions are one of 4 teams, only 4, to never appear in a Super Bowl, 2 being the expansion Houston Texans and Jacksonville Jaguars, and the other team being our AFC brother, the Cleveland Browns. And they're looking to make the playoffs. So while Max is on point, I have to disagree with them there. Let's get back to the video.
1 playoff win in 60 years. And this coach comes in, and in 4 seasons, he gets you to playoffs half the time. Now, no, you don't win any playoff games, but you know what? You know how you start winning playoff games? Keep getting to the playoffs. You'll start to win some playoff games. He averaged 9 wins a season, 2 playoff appearances in 4 years, African-American coach. Fired. Let go, because 9 wins wasn't enough. They bring in a coach that's not African-American. By the way, Stephen A., that's possible. You can have a black coach, and you could have a white coach who's a better fit or a better coach, and you can hire him, but that's not the case, is it? They've gotten much worse. They didn't just get a little worse. They lost, 12, 13 games last year? They got much worse. So, yeah, you fire a guy after 4 measly seasons for succeeding for a franchise that never does? You can apologize to the fan base for hiring Matt Patricia if you want to, but apologize for Jim Caldwell for letting a successful coach go.
Now, I will say this. I like that take. I never wanted him gone. Never wanted him gone. Now, Max brought up race. Race will always be disputed in a situation like this. I know a lot of y'all going to get mad, but it is what it is. It's something we have to deal with every day. It is what it is, okay? When I say we, I mean in human society. So don't go down that train. That's not what this video is about. But I did agree with Max. You fired a guy. I've been saying this for years. I never wanted Jim Caldwell fired, but I am in the minority. I think the Lions fans that believe that Jim Caldwell could have gotten us there are really in the minority, no pun intended, of people who actually believed in this guy. So I agree with Max 100%. Let's hear what Stephen A has to say.
Here's where it's not a matter of disagreeing, Max. Here's what I would tell you. I think that you're being entirely too soft and too kind. I don't think they owe Jim Caldwell an apology. I think they owe the city of Detroit, Michigan, the state of Michigan, the National Football League, and the American public an apology for being the Detroit Lions. They have been systematically pathetic on every level, and it has spanned decades. Do you understand that the Detroit Lions...
All right. Now, in any other case, last year I would have been offended and mildly laughing. Last year I would have been offended at what he said because last year I was still a believer. Now I'm not. No more belief in me. This team has one thing to do. I want to go back just a wee bit, because I want to hear Molly's laugh one more time.
I think they owe Jim Caldwell an apology. I think they owe the city of Detroit, Michigan, the state of Michigan, the National Football League, and the American public an apology for being the Detroit Lions. They have been systematically pathetic.
All facts.
On every level, and it has spanned decades. Do you understand that the Detroit Lions haven't been relevant since Barry Sanders was running the football for them? That's how bad they have been. I mean, obviously, Calvin Johnson, Megatron, had to retire, and we hope that he'll end up in the Hall of Fame because he was that much of a big-time stud. But even back then, they weren't winning any playoff games. We know that Matthew Stafford is not a scrub. He's had more comeback wins than a lot of quarterbacks in the National Football League. But somehow, some way, playing for the Detroit Lions contaminates you. You're Matt Patricia. You're like 13, 27, and 1 as the head coach. You've been absolutely horrendous. He should have been lost the job. He should have been brought back this year as the head coach of the franchise because we know they weren't going in a forward direction. And then when you look at the pipeline, certainly Jim Caldwell should not have been fired. We understand that, particularly considering what Matt Patricia has done. My attitude is, though, if you're going to let go of Jim Caldwell, why not let him go? Because you want a more offensive-minded coach and a guy like Eric Bieniemy, who's number one on everybody's list in terms of being on a hot list to be a head coach in the National Football League. This man spearheaded the number one offense, but even before Patrick Mahomes was wreaking havoc for the Kansas City Chiefs, he had Alex Smith as his quarterback. They weren't scrubs. So I look at Eric Bieniemy and what he's bringing to the table right now and what he's brought to the table the last few years. I think about Jim Caldwell again, along with a slew of other coaches, and I think a lot of it is worth consideration. Unfortunately, you're the Detroit Lions. You have been historically bad with your decision makings. So you could.
Now, I just want to say something real quick because that's what I said many, many moons ago. And I was told I was in my feelings. I was told I was emotional, that football is not a game of emotion. These guys, the Detroit Lions, have been historically bad, systematically historically bad. Okay. Stephen A. Smith understands that this is a deeper problem, okay? Nothing's that's going to change overnight.
Bring up that point about Jim Caldwell, and I'm in no position to disagree because obviously Jim Caldwell compared to Matt Patricia is really no comparison. It's an insult. But Facts. In the end, whether it's the Pittsburgh Steelers finding the Mike Tomlins of the world, whether it's the Green Bay Packers finding the Matt LaFleurs of the world, you can go into the coordinated ranks, or you can simply look at somebody who happens to be an African-American and very elite at what he's been doing in Kansas City with Eric Bieniemy, kill two birds with one stone and go that route. Detroit doesn't know what to do. They don't know what they've been doing. They've been a national embarrassment. And once again, here we are watching them, forced to watch them on Thanksgiving Day at noon because Obviously, it's the only football game that's taking place, and we love our football, so they get our attention by default when they've done absolutely positively nothing to be worthy of it or to deserve it. It's pretty damn sad. It ain't about Caldwell, though. It's about their organization and what they have historically been.
I think
That's all facts. That's all facts. This goes deeper than Jim Caldwell. I'm telling you, Jim Caldwell was not the problem. This is something the next guy that comes in, he won't be the problem either. Okay? When they come in, this is what the next guy that comes in is going to have to be given. He's going to have to know what he's doing, and he's going to have to be given free reins. But this organization is not going to make that happen.
Max, can I jump
I think
in
it
here
is about
quickly?
Caldwell. Like,
'Cause
I
wanna
understand why.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Molly. No, go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, you can add to Caldwell if you want to, but I wanted to talk about Matthew Stafford because you have praised him before. He is a solid quarterback. Do you think at this point they've wasted his career and he should just demand a trade?
Yeah, sure. Matthew Stafford, if I were him, I'd want to get out of there. I think Stafford looked like he had top 5 talent. I don't think his career has played out that way. I've never considered him a top 5 quarterback. So maybe we just misjudged the overall package of Matthew Stafford. However, we see, as Stephen A. said, 2 of the greats that we've ever seen, like maybe the best back you've ever seen if you're, under 60 years old, in Barry Sanders retires at 30, and Calvin Johnson, an all-time great, at 30. Both probably have something to do with the fact they're in a situation where you're not going to win, you don't have a lot of hope, and it's a tough game to play under those circumstances, right? Maybe it would have worked out a little differently and their careers wouldn't have been wasted in that way had they, and maybe the same thing happened to Stafford, though I think he's shown he's not Calvin Johnson or Barry Sanders for his position. But I want to say something about Caldwell, Stephen A. It's one thing to be Marvin Lewis, right? We talk about African-American coaches, how hard it is to get the job, and then you got to keep it, right? Marvin Lewis, you were right. You're like, it's not that he's bad. It's that you've had a long time to win, and you have not
15
been able to
years,
win in
something
the
like that.
playoffs. This dude, Caldwell, had the job for 4 seasons. He got to 2 playoff games. No, he didn't win any, but guess what? If you get to 2 and 4, I'm going to say you're going to get to 4 and 8, and I'll bet you'll win one of those. There's a franchise that never wins in the playoffs. And so I understand the impulse to get, Belichick tree, Belichick coaching tree. Let's grab Patricia, even though the Belichick coaching tree until recently hasn't seemed to work out so well in the NFL. But that temptation got them to let go of the only winning coach in recent memory for that franchise. And the reason was 9 wins isn't good enough. 9 wins looks pretty good now to that franchise, I think.
And that's all facts. That is 100. So again, thank you to ESPN for allowing me to use their footage. But that's all facts. That's all facts. Marvin Lewis, spot on right there. That's what an organization like the Bengals does. Now, the Bengals are inept as well, okay? But Marvin Lewis, did he deserve that job for 15 years of the decade that he had it, however long he had it? Did he really, really, really deserve to have that job as long as he did? Matt Patricia, and here's the funny thing about Jim Caldwell, and the thing that bothers me the most is that his 11-5 season nobody talks about. Okay, but it goes beyond Jim Caldwell and Matt Patricia, and it goes into the ineptitude of this organization. We've seen this happen before. So come inside my mind. You've been inside my mind. You've been inside Stephen A's. You've heard what he had to say, who is not a Detroit Lions fan. You heard what Max Kellerman had to say, and they are not Detroit Lions fans. As Detroit Lions fans, this is what we have to deal with. We have to deal with a team that is only recognized in the national spectrum when they are terrible. You want to know what's going to make headlines when Matt Patricia finally gets fired? Here is what the Detroit Lions organization and football team is to the rest of the world. We're part of the National Football League, but we probably shouldn't be. We beat a good team or we beat somebody we shouldn't beat. Oh, wow. It's always the other team's fault as to why the Detroit Lions beat them. That is the only time that we're talked about, and it's for a snippet of time. We talked about in length when we're terrible, which is 9 times out of 10, okay, when we are truly, truly, truly terrible. And that's what's going on now. Now, mind you, this took place before the game yesterday, after the embarrassing loss of a shutout. Something that hadn't happened in 10 years, a shutout to the Philip Walker-led Carolina Panthers. I have no problem with Phillip Walker. I saw him in the XFL. Not a bad quarterback. Used to be in the NFL. So my thing is this, Detroit Lions fans. It's time to be honest with yourself. Firing Jim Caldwell was the wrong move. But it's something that I never agree with. Matt Patricia hiring hiring Matt Patricia was not the right move. Now, I know that this is going to blow up the comment section, and that's fine. We're all entitled to our opinion. But what the deal is that Matt Patricia was brought in by Bob Quinn via Martha Ford, who had done a lot of things right until the firing, in my opinion, of Jim Caldwell, who Jim Caldwell held on for his job for 2 years. 2 years, okay, after Bob Quinn was hired. And this is what we're going to do. This kind of stuff we support, man. So I'm telling you right now, nothing's going to change unless Sheila Ford is different. And right now, as she's waiting in the shadows, having made no move to fire, checking my phone, no move to fire Matt Patricia, he'll probably survive the weekend. And if he survives the weekend, he's going to be our head coach for the next 5 football games. At this juncture in the season, there's no point. And you think that this organization cares about you. They care about your feelings and they care about money. That's the bottom line. So keep buying the merchandise. Keep going to the stands. Matter of fact, order yourself a $150 cutout that they'll mail back to you at the end of the season. That's the best you're going to get from them. My name is Derek. This is the Gridiron Blitz. Be sure to subscribe if you liked the video. Thank you guys for watching it to the end. If you watched it this far and you made it to the end of the video, give me a hashtag Roar Won't Restore. And I'll see you in the next video.